An alien woman prisoner lost her only friend. Then her escape changed everything. The scream cut off mid-note. Zyra flinched anyway. Her wrists were already numb from the gravity cuffs, but her fingers still curled instinctively, claws scraping the cold rail as something small and fragile hit the metal floor 2 cells down. The sound wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. In this place, silence always came after something died. Boots scraped closer. Laughter followed, sharp, bored, cruel. Zyra didn't look. Looking was dangerous. Looking meant being seen. A shadow fell across the floor of her cell, long and jagged through the energy bars. One of the guards leaned in, helmet tilting, optics flaring blue as they scanned her. Zyra lowered her head, silver hair sliding forward to hide her face. She slowed her breathing, counted the pulse in her throat, forced her body still. Invisible, silent, alive. That was the rule. Something soft bumped her ankle. Zyra's breath caught before she could stop it. She glanced down. Miko lay crumpled against her shin, small body trembling, for thin limbs twisted wrong. His fur, once a warm, dusky violet, was matted dark where blood soaked in. His single bright eye flickered open, unfocused, and found her. Zyra dropped to her knees. A guard snorted. Still breathing. Tough little thing. Another voice, amused. Thought you'd killed it. Not yet. The energy bars crackled as one of them kicked Miko back toward Zyra's cell with the tip of his boot. The impact jolted Miko's body. A thin, broken sound escaped him, more vibration than voice. Zyra wrapped her arms around him before she realized she'd moved. The guards laughed harder. Careful, one said. Pet might bite. Zyra bowed over Miko, hiding him against her chest, shoulders shaking. She didn't sob. She didn't scream. She pressed her forehead to his and felt how cold he already was. The guards got bored and moved on. Their laughter echoed down the corridor, blending with the distant hum of generators and the far-off screams of other cells. Zyra rocked slowly, back and forth, ignoring the ache in her spine, the burn of the cuffs. Miko's breathing was shallow now, each rise a struggle. She slid one finger beneath his chin, just enough to feel the faint flutter of life still there. I'm here, she whispered, the words barely air. I'm here. Miko's eye focused for a second. His small paw twitched, weakly grasping the fabric of her prison tunic. The tiny bioluminescent markings along his neck flickered once. Soft, familiar, a comfort signal. Zyra bit down on her lip so hard she tasted copper. She remembered the first time she'd seen him weeks ago, or months. Time blurred here. He'd been shoved into the cell beside hers. A shivering bundle in a cracked containment box. Too small for labor. Too gentle for fighting pits. A mistake in transport. They'd starved him at first. Zyra had pushed half her ration through the bars every cycle, pretending she couldn't eat. When he'd finally crept close enough to take it, she'd held her breath like a hunted animal, afraid any movement would scare him away. He'd stayed. He always stayed. Now his grip loosened. No, Zyra breathed. No, stay. Stay with me. Miko's eye dimmed. The glow along his neck faded, one light at a time. His body went still. For a moment, Zyra didn't understand. She waited for the next breath. Counted. Waited again. Nothing. The sound that tore out of her chest wasn't a scream. It was a break. Something inside her cracked open, wide and sudden, and the pressure she'd been holding back for cycles, years, flooded through. The lights above flickered. Zyra froze. A low hum rippled through the corridor, wrong and uneven. The energy bars pulsed, dimmed, flared again. Somewhere distant, an alarm chirped once, confused, then died. Zyra lifted her head slowly. Her heart was hammering so hard it hurt. Her skin prickled, heat rushing beneath it, like static building before a storm. She felt stretched, exposed, as if something deep inside her was waking up after a very long sleep. The gravity cuffs sparked. Zyra gasped as pain lanced through her wrists, and then vanished. The cuffs fell open, clattering to the floor. Zyra stared at them, then at her hands, then at Miko lifeless in her arms. A sound echoed down the corridor. Shouting, boots running. Zyra didn't think. She stood. The moment her bare feet touched the floor, the lights overhead blew out completely. Darkness swallowed the corridor, broken only by emergency strips along the floor that flickered wildly. Guards shouted in panic. What the hell? System reset. No, that's not a reset. Zyra stepped forward, energy bars fizzing as she passed through them like mist. Each step sent another pulse through her body, invisible waves that rippled outward. Consoles sparked. Doors slammed shut at random. The air filled with the sharp scent of burnt circuitry. Zyra clutched Miko to her chest and walked. A guard rounded the corner, rifle raised. His visor locked onto her and then exploded in a shower of sparks. He screamed, dropping the weapon as it fused itself into a useless lump of slag. Zyra didn't slow. She didn't look at him. The corridor ended at a junction, left toward the processing floors, right toward command. Zyra turned right. The prison was screaming now. Alarms wailed as backup systems tried and failed to come online. Cells opened and closed erratically, releasing prisoners who staggered out in confusion, only to be sealed in again by panicked overrides. Automated turrets unfolded from the ceiling and immediately died, barrels drooping as power surged through them and fried their cores. Zyra felt it all, every system like a thread brushing against her skin. It was overwhelming. Her vision blurred at the edges. Blood trickled from her nose, warm and metallic. She pushed on. At the command hub, a dozen guards were clustered around a central console, shouting over each other. When Zyra stepped into the doorway, they turned as one. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Zyra stood in the flickering red light, silver hair wild, eyes bright with something ancient and furious. Blood streaked her face. A small, dead creature was cradled in her arms like a child. One guard lifted his weapon. The hub went dark. Every screen shattered. Every door sealed. The floor plates locked, trapping the guards inside as the gravity spiked suddenly, slamming them to their knees. Their screams cut off as the air was sucked out in a violent depressurization. Emergency fields snapping up too late. Zyra sagged against the wall, gasping. The hum inside her peaked, then collapsed. Silence rushed back in, heavy and absolute. Zyra slid down to the floor, legs giving out. Her hands shook uncontrollably. The world felt too sharp, too loud even without sound. She pressed her forehead to Miko's and closed her eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I should've." Her voice broke. She didn't finish. When she opened her eyes again, the emergency lights had stabilized. The prison was quiet. Too quiet. Zyra stood slowly, every muscle protesting. Whatever she'd done, it was fading. She could feel it slipping away like heat from cooling metal. Whatever power had answered her grief wasn't endless. She had one chance. Zyra moved through the prison like a ghost. She avoided open spaces, slipped through maintenance corridors, used the chaos she created to stay ahead of any remaining resistance. Where doors were sealed, she waited for the thrum inside her chest to build just enough, then pushed short, controlled bursts that left her dizzy but free. In the armory, she didn't take weapons. She disabled them, melted power couplings, overloaded ammo feeds, left nothing usable behind. In the reactor wing, she rerouted coolant flows, destabilized regulators, set cascading failures that would take hours to manifest. Slow. Inevitable. By the time she reached the outer airlocks, the prison was already dying. Zyra stopped at the observation deck. Beyond the reinforced glass, the wasteland stretched out under a sky smeared with stars. No atmosphere shimmered here, just endless black and the faint glow of distant nebulae. She pressed her palm to the glass, feeling the cold seep into her skin. She laid Miko down gently. The deck lights flickered as if in mourning. Zyra knelt and gathered what little she could find. Scraps of fabric, a broken ration container, a shard of crystal from a shattered console. She built a small marker, hands steady now, movements careful and deliberate. "I'll remember you," she said softly. even if no one else does. She leaned forward and pressed her forehead to the deck, just beneath the stars. For a long moment she stayed there. Then the distant rumble began, the reactor finally failing, the prison's death rattle echoing through its bones. Zaira rose. She didn't look back as she cycled the airlock and stepped into the wasteland. Behind her, the detention camp tore itself apart. Systems collapsed in sequence, bulkheads rupturing, containment fields failing. By the time rescue signals could have been sent, there was nothing left to answer them. Days later, a patrol ship found the coordinates. They found debris, twisted metal, frozen bodies. No records, no logs, no prisoners. Just a single message burned into the wreckage in melted alloy, unintentionally left behind by a dying system spike. Do not build cages here again. Across the galaxy, the story spread in fragments. Prison erased. Guards vanished. Systems failing without cause. Whispers of an alien woman who walked out of hell carrying the weight of it behind her. Zaira never heard the rumors. She walked beneath unfamiliar stars, alone but unchained, carrying a small light inside her that would never go out again.